Hello, my friends. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. I know it's a little strange to see me in front of the camera. I'm usually behind it. But today I wanted to give you a tour of my studio. I did a previous video where I shared the video of the studio when it was in progress, but I never updated you with what the studio turned out to look like. So in this video, I'm going to do just that. All right, so here we are, and this is the finished studio. I'll give you a little look around, and then I'll explain every area to you. So all this furniture was purchased at IKEA, and I did pay the extra $70 to have it delivered, and they were kind enough to carry it down into the basement because this stuff is really heavy. In fact, I nearly broke my finger trying to put this monster together. It's got 25 cubbies, and I purchased the little bins for the bottom area so that I could store my supplies and not have to look at them, because I think that just makes clutter. So in these bins here, I have, the left side is my watercolor area, the center is miscellaneous, and then the right side is for alcohol ink supplies. So I have all my watercolor paper here, and again, I have paper towels in one bin and cleansers in another, watercolor and my extra watercolor paints in this bin here. And so they're basically all full of supplies. I think maybe there's one or two that are empty. Then, because this studio is in my basement, this used to be my son's room, then my daughter's room, then my son's room again, and then my brother's room. And once everybody moved out, I made it into a studio. But because it's in the basement, it's a little cold down here sometimes. So I have this little heater, and it looks like a little fireplace, which is nice. It's a little noisy, but it really does warm up the room. And then this is one of my outdoor chairs that my daughter-in-law brought in here to watch me paint one day. And that closet is for storage of other things that have nothing to do with art. This dresser used to belong to my children, but it makes a perfect storage. It makes perfect storage for my art supplies, rather my finished paintings. On the surface here, I have my paper cutter and this painting that my son did in his home. He had a paint and sip party with a bunch of friends, and they watched Bob Ross videos and recreated some of his paintings. He gave it to me for Mother's Day, and I'm hoping to get rid of this television, and I don't even know what that thing that looks like a spider is. But I'd like to display my paintings on this wall because it's a really nice big wall. So getting back to what I have on here, I have my Lazy Susan. And I've been asked a lot about this Lazy Susan, so let me show you. This piece of wood was purchased at the Home Depot, and it wasn't expensive at all. And then the mechanism that's underneath it was also purchased at Home Depot. I couldn't find a board, a Lazy Susan that I liked, so I made one myself, and this works great. And then I put some contact paper on top of it to protect it, so I can easily peel it off and replace it when necessary. And this is a projector that my daughter bought me for Christmas. You put the image underneath and you can project it onto a wall and either move it closer or further away to enlarge or make smaller. I haven't used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it because I would like to create some larger paintings. And then in these very large drawers, I have all of my watercolor paintings, and then some canvases and a tripod, and then my alcohol ink paintings. And then in this compartment here, I have some canvases, some paintings that I did, and it stores them nice. And then this little guy here is my faithful companion and assistant. This is Diesel, who's not liking that the door is closed right now. And then this is the area where I do my alcohol ink painting. You can see I try to be as organized as possible. I have all my supplies up on the shelves, and all that I use on a regular basis when doing alcohol ink is down here. My compressor, my Revlon dryer, and some pens and supplies. Everything that I need regularly is at arm's length. And then let me grab a chair so I can show you this. And then these are the paper towels that I use for alcohol ink. And once they get dirty and I don't want to show them in a video, I save them and I use them for my watercolor painting. So here in this cabinet, there are 5 drawers, and this is excellent storage. I have all the regular stuff that you use, pens and scissors. And then in this one, I have my alcohol ink dry palettes as well as my color chart. This one has my photo paper and some scraps. And this one has the wee pads that I put on the desk so that I don't stain it too badly. And then the bottom one is empty. But on my desk, I don't know if you can see this, there's contact paper. And right now I need to wipe the desk down with some alcohol. And I also have this pad here to protect the desk, and that works really well. I also purchased this at IKEA. And then in this area here, this is where I do my watercolor painting. And you can see that I have some of my paintings on display here. And then down here where I work, this is my ring light, and this is how I film my videos. I put my phone on this thing here, and the ring light, as well as that LED light strip that I have underneath the shelf, give me really great light because I only have one window in this room, and it doesn't give you a lot of light. Only in the morning do I get a lot of light through that window. So anyway, I have all my color charts on the wall because I don't want to have to look for them, and I use washi tape so that it doesn't damage my wall, or blue painter's tape, and that way I can just look up and see what I have and what I need. And then again, some scraps of paper that I use for color swatching, or a few of the small paintings that I've done. Oh, no, not really. But just things that I need to grab easily and quickly. And then my new light box. I love this thing. This was such a great buy. And it's a little bit bigger than I actually needed. And last time I looked, the smaller ones were like $21 on Amazon. So do take a look at that if you're interested in a light box. And then I use a Maxwell House empty coffee can for water for my watercolor paintings. And again, I keep everything that I use regularly at arm's reach. So I have all my watercolor brushes here, and my pencils, and everything I could need to do a painting. And then in this cabinet, I have, again, all the things that I need to reach for quickly, scissors and tape and such. In this one, I have all of my ceramic watercolor palettes. And this one contains all my watercolor paints, all my different palettes. I have a few, but we'll talk about that another time. I have an addiction. And then here in this folder, I keep all the images that I make, that I print out and use for my paintings, just in case I want to recreate the painting at some point. And then this drawer here contains my pastel pencils and soft pastels, as well as a few things that I don't use regularly. And then I have to show you down here, this is Diesel's little man cave. That's where he usually sits while I'm painting. He's got to be wherever I am. And then over here I have my easel, which is currently being used to display some of my paintings, but I usually use it for my acrylic painting when I put a canvas up there and paint. But I don't do that so often, so I'm using it right now to display some of my paintings which are not yet framed. And then in this little corner, I have a mini fridge and a couple of other supplies that I use, a mirror, because I like to look at my paintings in a mirror sometimes, or take a photograph of them. I think it gives me a better perception of what isn't right, maybe what I need to add or remove. So also, I recently had a utility sink installed in my basement, which makes life so much easier, because before that I used this jug here to lug water for my watercolor painting from upstairs, and I would have to carry the glasses of dirty watercolor water up and down the stairs, and it was a real pain in the neck, but my fiance was kind enough to install a utility sink, and now my life is much easier. So an empty mini fridge, and that is the tour of my studio. Now, I wanted to mention, and Diesel, he's not much of an assistant. When I work with alcohol ink, I usually have a fan in that window, and I open the window and it sucks the air out of the room. And I also have a fan, usually, but it's in another room right now, on that dresser. And it blows the air or the fumes of the alcohol away from me and out through that window. And my basement door, rather, that door to this room is usually open when I'm working with alcohol ink. And that is sufficient ventilation for the amount of time that I spend with alcohol ink, which is usually maybe once a week and only a half hour at a time. I don't sit and paint with alcohol ink for hours. So I don't have any issues. However, if you do use alcohol ink, I recommend that you do some research and that you find whatever and you take whatever precautions make you feel safe, because working with alcohol ink and inhaling all that alcohol can have negative effects on you. So make sure that you take whatever precautions you find necessary with the alcohol ink. So that concludes the tour of my studio. I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions about anything you see. And let's see if I can get Diesel to say goodbye. Hey, Diesel, do you want to say bye? Do you want to say bye-bye, little boy? Yep, that's about it. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.